Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about some convergent evolutions or convergent forms or regional fakes, whatever you want to call them, of Pokemon that I'd like to see in the Indigo disc. Now, currently in Paldea, we only have two convergent forms, that's Wiglet and Toedscool. These kind of set us to a certain rule set, like they've kind of established some rules. Maybe they'll break these rules as they branch out more, but we're going to abide by these rules, and that is, for one, that these convergent forms can only be Gen 1 Pokemon. For two, the Pokemon will have the same amount of types, but will not share a type with the original form. So, for example, Tentacool is a water and poison type, two types. And Toedscool is a grass and ground type, two types, but no types overlapping. Meanwhile, Diglett is pure ground, so Wiglet is pure water. Again, no overlap though. So we're going to carry that over. Also, Gen 1 Pokemon, like I said, they're both Gen 1. That's pretty simple enough. And also, the change of the creature has to be pretty drastic. It has to change species. So, like, Tentacool goes from a jellyfish to a mushroom, whereas Diglett goes from a mole to an eel. We previously did this for the teal mask, so feel free to check out that video. But right now, we're going to be doing this for the Indigo disc. We don't currently know where the Indigo disc is, like, set in, like, where that region is based off of, because we didn't see much other than the island. So what I really wanted to do for this one is pull from, like, ocean or beachy animals or species to make this list. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so for the first convergent form, we kind of almost break one of our rules already, but there's a way around this, I think, and that is with Zubat and Golbat. Now, the way this kind of breaks the rule is Zubat and Golbat have an evolution called Crobat that is not a Gen 1 Pokemon. The way I see it is they could just give Crobat a convergent form too, because it's still a Gen 1 line, even if it branches into Gen 2. Or, you know, it could even be special because, you know, it's a Kanto Pokemon. You know, it's still a Kanto Pokemon, and if it's the mascot of Indigo Disc, then it's allowed to branch out, you know. Maybe, I don't know. We only have two examples to go by, so I'm not as married to the Gen 1 rule, but all of these will be Gen 1 Pokemon. They just might branch out of the line. But yeah, Zubat and Golbat, I think, would make great rays. Stingrays, specifically. We have our Manta Ray and Mantine, so let's get a Stingray now, I say. Now, since Zubat is poison and flying type, then the Stingray Pokemon, which I guess would be Zoo-Ray, Golray, and Crow-Ray, would have to also be two types. And I say Water Electric would be perfect. Water because, well, it's a ray, it lives in the ocean, but the electric type coming from the sting. Now, I know the sting is usually associated with, like, poison, but I think that it would be cool to kind of do, like, electric instead, like it shocks people instead. That would be kind of neat, in my opinion. For an ability, Surge Surfer is an obvious one, in my opinion. You know, I think that would be really, really cool. It's currently only locked to a Alolan Raichu, so it would be cool to kind of give that to a Stingray Pokemon. Where this is coming from is often you'll kind of see them, like, jumping over the water, and it kind of makes me think of, like, them riding the waves. I mean, we even rode Mantine to, like, surf across the different islands in the Alola region. So, again, I think Surge Surfer would be a perfect ability for these new Ray Pokemon. An alternative design that I did kind of just briefly ponder is the Batfish. Maybe that could be a Zubat convergent form, the Batfish instead of the Rays. I like the Ray idea so much better, but the Batfish would work too. With those lips, I imagine it would be like a water fairy type, have a lot of kissing moves, but I don't know. I don't like this because I think it would be too similar to Bruxish. But when I did see Batfish, I was like, you know what? That could be something they would do. And I guess for this one, it will be like Zoofish, Goldfish, and Crowfish, I guess. You know, the names are never too creative. You know, you just have Tentacool to Toedscool, Diglett to Wiglet, so I imagine we'd see a similar kind of thing with the names here. And for this one's ability, I imagine it'd be a generic fish ability, you know, Swift Swim, hydration, anything like that. Now for this next one, we're going to hop on land for a moment, and we're going to talk about Staryu. While Staryu's from the sea, I say let's have it go on to land, similar to how Tentacle did with Toadstool. And I say let's make a Staryu line based off of an aloe plant. They can be star-shaped, you know, I just imagine be like a green Staryu with like the little spikes all around it that aloe plants kind of have. Not like spikes like thorns, but you know, like it has like little ridges to its petals. So I imagine it would be like that. Now, Staryu is a water type, but evolves into a water psychic type. So I'm imagining for this aloe plant Staryu, it could be a grass type that would then evolve via a leaf stone, because Staryu evolves with a water stone, into a grass fairy type. I think Regenerator, Healer, Natural Cure, all of those are solid picks for it. You know, it's got to be some kind of healing one, because, you know, aloe plants have like a lot of healing properties. You know, they're featured in like a lot of healthy drinks, they're in a lot of medications, and they're even in and like supplements and stuff too, and they're even in like a lot of sunscreens and stuff. I live on the coast, so we like at all times have like an aloe vera in our like cream or whatever in our bathroom, in case like we get sunburn, we can just rub it on and it takes care of it. So again, with all those healing properties, I imagine Healer, Regenerator, Natural Cure, those types of abilities would work really, really well for this Pokemon. Now, for this one, I guess the name might be Allomi. I don't know. Again, you know, drop your name suggestions in the comments below, as well as your idea for convergent forms in the Indigo disc. Now, moving into the next one, we are going back into the water with Tangela, now becoming an anemone. Now, again, we face the issue of there is Tangrowth, so, you know, maybe they do a Tangrowth too, maybe they do a just Tangela, I don't know, but I think it would be cool to see like an anemone Tangela. I imagine just the like vines around Tangela could become a lot more like fluid and kind of be moving a little bit, kind of like an anemone in water. Since Tangela is pure grass, we would have to make this one type, and water would be kind of the easy thing to jump to, but I say make it poison type. One of my like favorite, I guess, genre of Pokemon, if you will, are Pokemon that are aquatic but aren't the water typing. I don't know why, but I just think that's so cool. So, you know, things like Malamar, Graplocked, those kinds of things, I think they're really, really cool. So let's give us another one with an Anemone Tangela and make it pure poison. And for abilities, Poison Point, Poison Touch would work. You also could do like Hydration, Dry Skin, you know, any of those things. Even you could always have the possibility of it getting an ability that allows it to get Water type Stab, even though it isn't a water type. That would have to be a brand new ability. That ability does not currently exist, but I'd be all for that. Merciless could also work. Corrosion, anything like that would be fine. Now we move into a Pokemon that everybody wants to get something at some point. People have been calling for a regional form for it ever since regional forms were introduced back in Gen 7, and that is Arbok. Arbok is a beloved Pokemon. You know, it was used by Jessie in the anime. It's a really cool design. It's kind of the first regional variant in a way, because the markings would differ based off of the region. So let's give Arbok some love, and I say give it a convergent form based off of the Dragon Eel. Since Arbok is a poison type, this Dragon Eel would have to be a pure type, so I say Dragon, because it's the Dragon Eel. And for abilities, you could give it Marvel Scale, or you could give it a ability to kind of allow it to take advantage of the fact that, again, it's an aquatic animal, even if it isn't a water type. So we go back again to Swift Swim or something like that. Strong Jaw would also work really well, I think. You know, we often see eels have like very, very sharp teeth. So a Strong Jaw would be really cool, and it'd be even cooler if they then coupled the Arbok with a dragon-type biting move, you know, so like a dragon-type crunch or something. That would be really, really neat. I think that would be, for one, that move in general would be a lot of fun, I think. But to couple that with a dragon-type strong jaw user, you know, this thing could see some competitive action. We'd all love that for Arbok, right? So yeah, I say give Arbok a convergent form based off the Dragon Eel. Now, this next one people might not be as big of a fan of, and that is for the Sandshrew line. Now, why I say people won't be a fan of this maybe is because Sandshrew has already gotten love. It got a regional variant back in Gen 7, a Lowland Sandshrew and a Lowland Sandslash, but I say let's give it a convergent form based off of a Nudibranch. When I saw a Nudibranch, I immediately thought of Sandslash's back, so I would love to see a like snail take, a Nudibranch take on Sandshrew and Sandslash. And, you know, because they're ground type, this would have to be a pure type. I say make it pure water this time around, but then give it some abilities that kind of reference Nudibranches being venomous or poisonous. Venomous. I always get the two mixed up. I know venom is when it's injected, poison is when it's just poisonous, so I guess it would be venomous. But anyways, give it something that references that, like Poison Touch or Poison Point. Also, it is a slug, so gooey, things like that could work. That's currently only on the Goomy line, I'm pretty sure, so that would make sense. But yeah, either way, I think that a Nudibranch is a really cool animal, and I'd love to see a Pokemon based off of it. And again, when I saw a Nudibranch, I immediately thought of Sandslash's back, so I was just like, ooh, that'd be a really cool convergent form. Now to move into one that I do know people will love because people love this Pokemon, and that is Scyther. Now we do again get into a situation of Scizor and Kleavor. Would they give them convergence too? I don't know. But I think a really cool idea for Scyther would be a Mantis Shrimp. Mantis Shrimp are really, really cool. We actually kind of have a Pokemon inspired by a Mantis Shrimp a little bit with Clauncher and Clydesdale, but I was thinking this could kind of look a little more like the accurate colors to it, and it would be a convergent form to Scyther, so it would stand out in its own way. Now, this is where we get to have a lot of fun. Scyther is a bug flying type, so we get to give this Mantis Shrimp Pokemon 2 types. Now, I say water and fighting. I think that would be really, really neat because that is, you know, such a cool, relatively unused typing. You know, we have Quaquaval, Poliwrath, Keldeo, and Urshifu, but that's really it. So I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, if they were to give it a Scizor Convergent 2 and a Kleavor Convergent 2, then maybe one of them could become a Water Fairy. And I know that sounds odd, but the interesting thing about the Mantis Shrimp is it has more like, I guess, color receptors in it. So it's basically able to see way more colors than even us humans can. So, like, that's a hard thing to imagine because how can you imagine a color that you can't see? But yeah, this thing can see colors that we can't even see, and like way more than we can even see. So I think it'll be fun to kind of reference that like colorful aspect to it, and it being able to manipulate colors with like a water fairy typing. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Then for the Kleavor sides of things, you could go into a water steel type and make it, you know, more focused on like its pinchers or whatever, and being like kind of a swordsman. The reason I say to do this is because the thing about Scyther, Scizor, and Kleavor is they all have different types. You know, normally we have a lot of Pokemon that will stay the same type as they evolve. The Bellsprout line is Grass Poison, and it ends up Grass Poison. However, with Scyther, it's Bug Flying, and then goes to either Bug Steel or Bug Rock. So I think it would keep the water typing in all the 3 different evolution lines, but would change that secondary typing between Fighting for the Scyther Convergent, Fairy for the Scizor Convergent, and maybe that one would even be a special attacker. That would be cool. And Steel for the Kleavor variant. Like I said, I think that would be really, really neat. I love shrimps. I love crustaceans. They're like, legit, crabs are like one of my favorite animals in real life, and so I love every crab Pokemon they make and crustacean Pokemon they make, and shrimps are crustaceans, so I do love to see that. And Scyther's such a cool mon. It'd be so cool to see one of these as a convergent to it. Yeah, be sure to let me know which of these, if these were real, would be on your Indigo Disc team. Also, let me know your kind of ideas for the names of these, or even your ideas for your own convergence that could exist in the Indigo Disc in the comments below. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. We'll eventually do more breakdowns of like kind of Pokemon predictions, you know, new Pokemon, new evolutions, those kinds of things for the Indigo Disc. So, you know, if you like this video, then you're going to want to subscribe and hit the bell as well, so you can stay up to date on when those videos drop. We did it all for the Teal Match. We're going to do it for Indigo Disc too. And until next time, I will see all of you Later.